Hello and welcome to the ORCA podcast covering episode 6 of Sydney Survivor. It's a big episode. We're right there, the moment before merge. It's sort of like a mergatory because they all know it's coming, but there's one final challenge. There's one final tribal council before they get to that big moment that they're all looking forward to. I'm looking forward to covering it all with everyone on the show today. Joining me, as always, is, well, not always, but most of the time, fresh off a big weekend of parties I wasn't invited to, is Jules.
Hey, still salty about that, aren't you?
Yeah, super salty. Who's
saltier, you or JT?
Me. I backed him in for the final 3, and then, what the fuck? Actually backed him in to come second. That said, my picks are going extremely well. Extremely well. I think I have 7 of the top 9 correct.
I haven't looked at them. I know that if Lizzie comes back in, I'll be doing really well. But if she stays out, I'm fucked.
Yours are pretty similar to mine, except you had Lizzie as the winner pick.
And I had Christy as first boot, so...
Yeah, whereas I had Sam, then Matt P, then Ethan, then Danny, Michelle, Christy in that group, then Luke sort of close to around the merge, but Joseph at 10. So I'm the only one I had sort of wrong is Shane. And who would have thought Shane would have every advantage in the game?
No. I think I had him low as well, so...
Yeah, well, I think everyone had him low. So he's surprised us all with his lack of survivor knowledge, but his innate ability to find advantages. And joining us again, Jules has decreed, after having John on last week, that the show must always have a winner. Of course, I've won org, so there's always a winner.
Doesn't count.
They do count. We're back by popular demand, therefore. We have brought back La Madrina herself, Ma, winner of Canberra, Survivor, Season 2.
Hey,
welcome, Ma.
Hello. How are you guys?
Ma's fresh back from hiking in Uganda or something. Is that right?
Yeah. Nick and I went to all around East Africa. So, yeah, Uganda was one of the places we visited.
And you were keeping... up to date with all the excitement of Sydney Survivor while you're traversing through wild and wilderness Africa?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's all the talk in Kenya, everybody's raving about this season.
And I'm guessing even over there, they were trashing Ethan for his moves last week.
I actually met Ethan. He was down in Melbourne this weekend, and I hadn't seen the episode yet. Now it's very complimentary of his game, but now I feel like... After watching episode 5, I think, I still love the guy, but I just think even he says with this episode that retroactively maybe not the best move sticking to the Shane, but yeah.
We do love Ethan, but yeah, look, that wasn't that smart.
Yeah.
Which move do we think was not smart?
I think
Ethan
just knowing that Ethan has an idol, knowing that Shane has an idol, and then sticking to your vote just to flush. I feel like I said it when I played, it's really noble for other people to want to flush advantages, but I'm always going to vote out for the person I think is going home. I think for Ethan, it was fine. He's number 1 ally save. But it could have been Christy who's close to him as well. So I don't know. Either way, he was going to lose, and he lost 2 allies.
I don't think Christy was ever going to go because the Blues weren't that silly as to vote for her.
Yeah,
the Reds were just silly to vote for Shane.
Unless Joseph, Leah, and Shane all voted for her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Instead of voting for Jazz like they were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shane voted for Christy for some reason. So he and his advantages had their own plan.
Obviously for Leah now, we can tell not the best move to vote someone on the red side, maybe. I don't know. If it would have meant for her, but...
I defended Ethan's move at length at the last podcast to provide a diversity of opinion. And I think I argued it pretty well. I think I argued it pretty well. And then Ethan just came on and said, no, I'm just a moron. I didn't know what I was doing. You said that in the episode. Like, so thank you, Ethan, for making me look like a fool for having your back. Because he said it in the chat, he said it elsewhere, and then he says it on the damn next episode. He's like, what the hell did we just do? And of course, we get the fantastic, they come back from Tribal. We're right into this, and Matt pitches like double shocked Pikachu face for this situation. And then it's one for both Jazz and Merlene are gone, and 2 for it's not merge, and they're devastated by this outcome.
Well, before they even come back, we get him talking about his big move was to get Ethan to play his advantage for him. Like, are we really going to call that Matt's big move?
No, I don't call that. That's Ethan's fucking move. Does anyone think that's Matt's move? Maybe Ma? You want to go on the Matt defense?
I don't think I think Matt did a good job, making his alliance feel, make sure Ethan even he's has no problem verbalizing to everyone Matt's my closest ally. So I think Matt's done well in creating such a loyal, alliance member in Ethan. Whose move was it? I think I'm obsessed with Ethan and Matt because I feel like they're both very intuitive players. They're not strategists, I don't think. They're very social players who just gonna, go with what feels right. And I don't think they're thinking like someone like Sam was really quick to call out what a bad move that was. And I think, someone like Sam maybe is more strategic minded. And I think Ethan and Maddie are just social butterflies who go but what feels right at the moment. And I don't think it was, if I was gonna say it was someone's move, it was just whoever came up with a split vote on blue, which I think would have been between Sam and Michelle and Danny. I think that's where that idea came from. I think I would give credit to them, but I can't give them that much credit because just Ethan and the others just really I think Merlene and Jazz made the biggest mistake, obviously. Yeah. But yeah. I really related to Ethan saying that he just closed his eyes and was waiting for the votes to come. Because that's what, I was in a tribal where 7 people were immune and I had no idea. And I was just like, whatever. At this point, I'm just vibing it. Yeah.
I think I think you're right, and I think it's important for us to get some further touch points on that very exciting tribal council. I think I'd have to say that I didn't see any footage of Matt trying to convince Ethan to play the advantage on him, which to me makes it Ethan's move. I'm also of the view that Ethan was the one who played it. If, say, Matt had convinced Ethan to give the advantage to him so that Matt could play it and have the big moment, then again, I'd see it more as Matt's move. But I think that the two things, I didn't see any of those conversations, and Ethan was the one who played it on him. I think he even talked about claiming it as his own move by doing that before the actual tribal, if I recall, that it would be his move if he plays the thing. That is his move, and I think it's going to make him a big target at the merge. I think he and Matt's connection will make them a target, and I think the fact that Ethan has done something, even though Shane has played an idol correctly to nullify votes against himself, I don't feel like anyone will be looking at Shane like he's a target, even though he's played a fantastic idol play.
I think Shane's golden. I wrote it down in my notes. I think you can lock in Shane for the final 3 unless some really crazy happens. I feel like he's just alone. I know we'll talk about Shane's decision to, jump ship and whatever that means for him. But I feel like right now Shane is, no one knows he's got anything. He's just in the best position in my mind. I can just see him cruising with having to use his idol all the way to the final 3 at this point.
I think the problem that he has, though, is if he wants to win in that final 3, he's going to need to find interesting ways to use his advantages. He can't just rock into final 3 and go, hey, I had all the advantages, check this. Everyone will be like, it won't be that big I had stuff move that can happen sometimes, because I don't think anyone respects him enough. And he needs to do more things to be respected. So if he can use all these advantages in interesting ways, he could have a really, really compelling case.
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point, I agree with you, Mark. He's locked in for final 3, but I don't think he's going to get any votes at the end if he keeps going the way he is. I mean, I could be wrong. He might pull out some stuff at merge, which could be really interesting. But at this point, I think he's our 0 vote finalist.
But we have seen people like a Marianne in American Survivor, pull out an idol and say, look, it's equally impressive having this a secret and not having to use it. I think that's, depending on what happened in the game, I think that's a really good thing to say at Tribal, that if people change their opinions towards Shane or they become really bitter towards the other people in the final, I think Shane could argue for a win.
I think you're right. I think though, Marianne had a lot of agency by the time she got to that point. Earlier on, she wasn't seen that way, but she voted out Omar, and that was her big move. So she had that like on her resume. And I think if Shane goes up with that similar argument, he's going to be looked at more like Dean. That was his name, right? From the season
Dean.
Shall Not Be Named. As Tommy said about him, you didn't do anything; you just found stuff. And I think that's what Tommy said about Dean in the final tribal council. I don't care you got all these things; you didn't do anything with them.
And I don't think Shane knows. I don't think Shane knows the game well enough to be able to speak to that. Like, look at me doing all these things.
Survivor, I definitely think it's like the most social player almost always wins, and the person people just vote who they like the most. And so
people like Marianne.
Like
Marianne. They wanted to vote for Marianne. They wanted a reason to vote for Marianne.
That's right. So if I was Shane, I would just really, now that I've got my arsenal of stuff, I would really dig into those relationships. I mean, it might be too late for him, but I don't see how he can. If he just cruises in the middle, you're right. He won't have an argument, but I do think he's in a good position to I think he needs to see who's at the bottom and just corral those people and, get something happening against the Dannys and the Michelles in the world who are just kind of dominating the strategy at the moment. Yeah.
Except the problem is he's decided to flip onto them, which is understandable because
Absolutely.
all his old Reds voted for him. Yeah. So why would he have any loyalty to them anymore? They actually voted him out. Without an idol, he's out of the game. So fuck those people as far as he's concerned. But now he's just rolling with the power crew, who are the ones that he actually needs to naturally upset with his advantages to show a big game.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if the other, especially Matt and Ethan together I think those are the two who will have to get all the bottom feeders together and get something going. I do think at least Ethan, like the positive I can see of him playing the advantage of Maddie is that Maddie, I do think is the kind of player that you play an advantage for him and he's forever loyal to you. I do not see Maddie, flipping. Someone like, say, Michelle or Danny, I think, they're there to play the game. Someone like Joseph, but Maddie now I think is like locked in with Ethan, and sometimes we see it like a really tight minority can topple a majority that's a bit divided. Yeah.
I think of all the people left, I think Joseph is going to have a very difficult time getting to the end. I think he's incredibly social. I think everyone's switched on to how good of a player he is, even though he's not really done anything yet. And the moment he like sniffs of doing anything, they're going to be like, oh, Joseph, like he's playing too hard. He's too good. We got to get rid of him. Like that's, I think, Joseph's fate.
And they all really like him, which is great pre-merge, but post-merge, it's this guy's too likable, too social. We need him gone.
They all like him, but no one is his closest ally. Leah was his closest ally. And unless Leah comes back, I just don't see who's going to have Joseph's back now.
Let's talk about the Edge for a moment. We'll talk about the Edge. So JT, non-salty JT finds finds a extra vote that he can bequeath to someone in the game. We don't see any of the footage of this. We don't see the footage of it being received. We don't see the footage of it being found. We're just told that it occurred.
Yeah, voiceover,
and he chooses to gift it to Shane. His reasoning is he's heard from a lot of people that Shane was on the outs, with a lot of people, didn't really have a lot of good connections. And if JT gets back in the game, that's someone perhaps he would want to work with, build from the bottom, and to build some trust, he gives them an advantage. I think that's some pretty sound reasoning, to be honest.
That's why I would have given the advantage to Shane.
Absolutely.
You know, it's someone who's like by himself, just needs a friend, and I would have like run to become friends with Shane at this point if I was the person coming back. Yeah.
So we all agree, a good move from JT.
Yeah, I think if you can advantage someone in the game, the person who is on the outs is a perfect person.
And also, I thought it was a really interesting advantage to come at this point, because in either tribe, it would have created a potential tie. I was really surprised to see that Shane didn't even consider the possibility of using an extra vote to force a tie, especially with Luke, who is seemingly on the fence. If you force a tie 4-4, I don't think Luke is going to rocks for Danny at this point. I don't think even Michelle or Sam, I think they're really self-interested players. I think Leah and Shane and Joseph could really force the other two to split. But I mean, I think Shane also did it was like he had two good options. He could either stick it out and force a tie and make a really impressive move, or he could, make a choice and stick with the blue and go to merge in like a really cushy position. So I think Shane was actually just had a lot of options this episode, and I think I was really impressed that he wasn't even the target at all. Yeah.
I think
if Leah or Joseph had have got that extra vote, I think that's what we would have seen play out. Yeah. I think if it had been the hands of someone who knows the game, is a savvy player, I think they would have used it to force a tie.
He didn't realize the power that he held.
Yeah,
no, I think he did.
I think this is the fault in Shane's game, that he has all the finding advantages, even the strategic. He's lacking on the social.
He has no idea what to do with these advantages.
Sometimes you need a friend to bounce ideas off of. So if he had a really he trusted Leah, Leah saved him in the first episode. So I would imagine he would have a little bit of a connection with her. If he had maybe like trusted Leah, then maybe between the two of them they could come up with, because Luke's like so wishy-washy that he just needs a little push at this point. Yeah.
CK, you still there?
I think, yes.
I think he's gone.
He's shocked by this idea.
Shocked by your amazing takes.
Yeah, well, anyway, I was going to ask you, Danny, actually, if you're on the
content.
Jules, sorry. Jules and Danny, very interchangeable at this point. If you, Jules, if you are
sorry.
Sorry. I was okay. I think CK is frozen.
He's cutting in and out. Just keep going.
Okay, my question is, Jules, say you're Danny or Michelle or someone else on the majority on that tribe. Mm-hmm. Who do you target? Do you go for Joseph or Leah? Because I actually think they targeted the wrong person here.
I agree. I think they should have targeted Joseph.
Because you have one player who's very subtle, very sociable, very, and then you have someone like Leah who's like really loud and bubbly and out there, who's never going to fade into the background.
No.
Really, and honestly, I think Leah's the kind of player who just thrives on chaos.
Absolutely. And I think Joseph is someone that come merge can fly under the radar. Even if the original Blues have the numbers, Joseph will just cruise along. He'll be the last OG red. He'll even slip by a couple more. And then next thing you know, boom, he's in the final three and he's your winner. But I think Leah, that doesn't happen with. Leah is a lot more obvious. People are going to notice her and she will get herself voted out.
That's right. So, Sika, we're just saying, do you think they made between Joseph and Leah? We think they made the wrong choice by voting Leah out. We think Joseph is more of a threat coming into merge. But what do you think?
I think Joseph has hoodwinked them a little bit with his social play, and they all think that he's someone they can all individually work with to potentially make moves on the rest of their crew at the right time. But I do wonder if Leah presents more as actually less threatening in merge, and you actually want, if you are a Danny or a Michelle, actual threats around. So Joseph's a threat. We talked about that before. At some point, people are going to freak out. I've got to get rid of Joseph. Like, he's really damaging. I just feel like Leah has the ability to be perceived as maybe a loud player, but not be getting the strategic chops, or even she has them, but the perception of her may be that she doesn't, that she's just a loud sort of crazy player, and therefore is less threatening than Joseph. And therefore, if you are Danny or Michelle, it's better to have Joseph there because he is a shield for them that Leah isn't.
That is true. That's I mean, there's pros and cons, and I just think the kind of getting the sense of who. It also depends who you are. If you are Luke, I think it's a good idea to keep someone like Joseph, because I mean, you're gonna be the number one target come the merge, and Joseph is a very big visible target that you can, like if you don't win the immunity, you can divert the votes to. And I think Luke in the comments, he did say that he was always voting with the blue, which I don't have any. I never thought he wasn't. I just think, I mean, I always say that you should be the one in the majority who the minority approaches. The problem with Luke's approach this episode, which I think Luke's playing a fantastic game. The only problem I had is that he told them, he was really wishy-washy with them, and he directly told them he wasn't voting with them, which then gives them, then they can, pivot and go with plan B or use Shane's extra vote. Like, if you keep them, if you're not going to vote with them, just keep them thinking you are. Like, I would never, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's something that I would probably never be that transparent with the minority. Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, and that's just Luke's style, because I think he thinks it's better to risk it and not lie to them than lie to them and be like, oh, it's the game, whatever. Because I just think that's Luke's style. Like, we identified Luke as the Max of this season.
Oh my God, 100%.
Very early on. And Max does this in orgs. In closed ID orgs, Max tells the people that he's voting out, he's going to vote them out because he doesn't want to lie to them. Like, there's just people like that who don't have that desire to want to lie to people's face, particularly for a game.
Wouldn't it be better? I feel like the winner, the biggest winner this episode for me was Sam, and not even close, because if you compare them, those 4 blues are pretty, they're in control. Luke has kind of burned Joseph at this point, and he's coming across as kind of wishy-washy. Danny and Michelle have been clocked as a really visible duo, and and everybody can tell that those two are kind of running the show. Sam is just third one, who is the happy-go-lucky. The minority is still talking to Sam, but they're not blaming him for not flipping. They're not relying on him. So I think Sam is just in such
Sam's my winner pick, and I am locked in on this.
Yeah.
He is the perfect level of strategic and social and good at the challenges, but not the best at any of those things. He's just good enough to have a convincing case at Final Tribal Council that he should win because he's got these things, but he's not going to be the target in front of so many other people that
on anybody's radar.
Not in front of Luke. I mean, I'm I wrote that. The last thing I wrote in my notes is merge boot equals Luke. That's what I wrote. Unless he can win, and look, we've seen people who just win and can get voted out in the past. And
this has been verified. It's verified by Sam. Max and Luke are the same person.
They are the same person. They're the same.
I don't know if Luke is our merge boot. I think at this point, what are our numbers of blue and red? We've got.
Well, it depends who comes back. So let's talk about who's coming back.
I think at this point we have 5 OG blue and 4 OG red.
But are we going to close? Are we closing the bets? Are we paying out on Merlin?
I think we should say
who has the advantage. She has the advantage.
But we looked very briefly at what the challenge was. It looked like they were having to bounce the ball on a disc. Yeah. And maybe she doesn't have to go for the first, I don't know, however long.
There is a difference between who you want to come back and who you think is going to come back. Because
I'm saying Merlin is the best at challenges that are there and has the advantage. So
I have a dark horse kind of pick. I don't know if you guys have already said who you think is going to come back. But for me, I am dying to see Lizzie come back into the game.
Me too.
My God.
We'll go with this because that's her winner pick.
Oh yeah. Well, Lizzie for me is such a good character. She might not be. She doesn't know the game, but I think she's someone who would pick it up pretty quickly, and she could actually. And she's so innocent and stuff that I think people would overlook her, and she could actually make something happen.
And I met her on the weekend, and she is lovely.
She's great.
Let's do the edge of it a little bit here.
No.
We've interviewed all well, haven't we interviewed Leah? We've interviewed 5 of these people.
Yes.
Did any of them give you the vibe they're the ones that come back? I don't feel like any of them gave me that vibe, but they all just made it be great because I told them we don't want to know if you come back. We don't want to know that. Please don't make that apparent to us. So potentially they all were just that good at covering their situation. But maybe
it's the one we haven't interviewed yet.
Maybe it's Leah. Maybe
I would love to see Leah come back.
I would love to see Leah come back, but I'm afraid it would just be a revolving door of Leah going straight back out.
I think whoever comes back, there's a good chance they go straight back out.
It depends. I think someone like Lacey, I do think she would stick around. Merlene, I think she would be voted out immediately because she's, amazing and the best. And
both Lizzie and TK, I think will go back to Blue and stick with them, which will put them in the majority. So I don't think those two probably won't.
The most interesting returnee is JT. Not JT, sorry. Yeah, JT.
We all want that.
No, because he's going to go to Shane, and he's got the strategic knowledge. He's like, I've got the thing. We were both voted out. And you got voted out by the Reds, but I got voted out with the Blues. We can't work with the fucking Blues. They're running the game. Let's gather up Maddie P and Ethan and somebody else, and let's make a move. That's the best chance of something interesting happening, I would say.
How about someone interesting would be TK. But
he was going to the Blues. He didn't get voted out by the Blues.
But I think TK is like a smart player that he would know he would be the 5th guy in that Blue Alliance, even 6 after Christy. So I think someone like
Eli,
TK,
please tell me that that's a joke.
Is that a joke, Eli? Before I put it on the screen.
What? This week's twist is actually it just replaces the merge cast and the merge. This is just a troll.
Oh, like a full kamikaze. That's the sort of shit you get in Drunk Viber.
That would be a fun twist when everyone's drunk.
I do in Drunk Vibers. Not this.
I know. Did you
it's
do
a joke.
well?
It's confirmed joke.
Yeah, of course. I heard everything about him. So you think so? Sika, you think Merlene's gonna come back? I think Lisa's gonna come back. But Jules, who do you think is gonna come back?
Who do I think or who do I want?
Who do you think?
Well, I want JT, but I think Merlene will come back.
Based on the brief thing we saw of the challenge, I don't know. The challenge was hard. I think I'll go Lizzie. I'll jump on the Lizzie.
Okay, we're Team Lizzie.
Only because she's my winner pick.
She was so despondent in the interview about playing such a horrible game. She must be an incredible actor if she actually comes back in the game.
I just want to see Lizzie vote correctly once. That would be.
She was so down on herself about all of that in the interview. I just can't believe she comes back and has some impact after that interview. But she could have been doing an incredible job of covering the situation, as they all have.
On the weekend, she had been given a gag order because apparently she is the worst for giving out spoilers. So anytime the subject of what's going to happen came up, she's just like, I refuse to answer. I cannot comment.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's because she comes back in and wins the whole thing. And I was right the whole along.
While we're talking about challenges, let's talk about the challenge of this episode as we continue the toddler preschool Olympics of challenges in Sydney Survivor. We've gone from the year 3 puzzle. We had the little one-on-one kick 'em. We had the and now in this one we've had an egg and spoon race, a sack race, and a throw some quoits from about 30 centimeters
distance. I feel like Ethan and Shane were literally hovering over the stick, throwing the thing,
and it still took them forever.
But I was so nervous watching the episode. It was I felt it, it was a very stressful situation. And I think production should really, really thank Ethan for winning the challenge, because I think it would have been a bit of a boring and just a disaster.
Well, Christy goes home.
Christy goes home, and then your tribe of 3, and then you're editing an episode where Ethan and Matt are just we're voting Christy out. So production was the biggest winner of that challenge, I think.
And I think the blue team threw it though.
No, because the wrong people were there to throw.
I asked.
As if Shane is throwing the challenge.
Well, maybe Shane can tell us. Did he throw?
I asked Danny if she threw the challenge, and if the plan was to throw the challenge. Her answer to me was, well, I wasn't competing, and there's a reason for that.
Well, I think
but it's if her view of throwing a challenge is putting in like a couple of ordinary players to compete, it's a sack race and an egg and spoon. That is not going to make enough of a difference.
Luke was doing the sack race. I don't think if you want to.
Luke's the best challenge player. He's in the sack race, and he's the sort of guy that wouldn't throw shit. Like you can just tell he's that sort of competitive guy. And then he didn't throw it. And then you've got was it Joseph on the egg and spoon?
Hang on, I've got it written down.
It was Joseph who has no like incentive to throw it.
And Luke, Joseph doesn't have incentive to throw it, and Shane does not have incentive to throw it.
So I think
they weren't throwing it.
Sorry, Danny has corrected me. They didn't throw it. She just didn't compete. She didn't want to win.
This red tribe of 3 is like probably one of the most iconic tribes in LRG history that I've seen. I think they're so entertaining, and I was almost jumping with them.
Luke's effort apparently was him not trying.
Yeah, who was the tosser? I think Sam who said it. Shane, he's a tosser. Yeah,
I'm a tosser.
Yeah, I love Shane.
I think he said. I think they said after he said. Apparently Ethan was the bigger tosser or something. I think he said.
I actually wanted to ask you guys because I've been away, haven't been able to watch every episode of the podcast. What does Annabelle think of Shane?
She also Shifty Shane.
We call him Shifty Shane. He's shifty.
I just think Shane falls into this category of men that maybe Annabelle has likes in Survivor.
He doesn't have enough ego.
He's not a saddie. Oh, okay.
He doesn't have enough ego. He's actually reasonably humble in his approach, I think, and not too into himself. And she needs her type of guys that are full of ego and way into themselves.
Okay.
For that sort of alliance member.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah. So apparently they're all saying they wanted to throw the challenge, but whatever. We're just going to put the people that desperately need to win in it, and the ultra competitive guy, and hope it happens. Like, I'm not buying this nonsense. You guys just didn't have the conviction to want to throw, so you didn't push it hard because you probably didn't care. I guess it's all about how much they wanted to save Christy, and I guess ultimately Christy is not long for this world in the merge anyway. Maybe they'll start getting scared about Christy. Like, there's a certain point where if she survives a couple of merge votes,
I think Christy is gonna make
it worried, right?
Christy is running circles around these people. And if you think about it, I think Christy now is in the swing position because she has really good relationship. Everybody wants Christy. Matt and Ethan really want her. And we repeatedly this episode, Michelle and Danny were saying, we want Christy. So for me, Christy, top 6, top 5, lock her in.
I had her as 5th, I believe.
Yeah, I think she will be a very key. I think she is the most interesting player come the merge, because depending on what Christy wants to do, I think that's kind of where the votes might end up.
Yeah. Well, she's met everyone in the game except for Amanda.
Yeah.
She's the only one that can say that. So she, and I don't feel Amanda's coming back from EOE. Who knows? But I don't feel that. Has she met Joseph? No, she hasn't met Joseph. But she's almost met every. No, she hasn't. She's almost met every single person there.
Shane and Shane she hasn't been on the same tribe with.
Yeah, sorry, Joseph and Shane. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. But still, I feel like as you say, she's got the connections. And she's going to look at the Blues, like the Blues that so desperately want her back for their group, and go, these guys are just running the game. I might stick with them for a vote or two, but I'm going to make a move on them before they make a move on me. That's what she has to do, actually, because as if they go to the end with her.
Yeah.
Shane might go to the end with her. I could see Shane go to the end with her. Shane would be like, what is? Who cares?
I would be really interesting to know where Christy's actual alliance lies, because watching the episode, you could see maybe she's with Ethan and Matt, but they never really proved their loyalty towards her. They didn't have the chance because Merlene and Jazz were voted out. So, and she must know that she would have been voted out had they gone to a tribal. So I wonder if she has any loyalty. She called them scummy, like at one point. So I wonder if she has any loyalty. But again, if I was Christy, I would look at, you're attached to two really strong duos.
Yeah. Well, she did call them scummy, but it's a similar situation to your boot in Melbourne, where you knew you were going, but by all accounts, had you stayed, it's not like you would have come back and necessarily worked with me. You still would have wanted to work with Laurel, even though you knew Laurel was voting you out at that vote. So it doesn't just because she would have gone doesn't mean she's necessarily going to have an issue with the two of them. Because that was your sort of thinking at Melbourne.
It's just she has a lot of options because Michelle and Danny are dying to have her back. So she is the third in the two strongest duos of the game. If I was Christy, I mean, and she's won this game, so if I was Christy, I would be looking at more of the the Josephs and the Shanes and the people who are by themselves, like maybe Luke and Sam, who are like together but not really.
If she can hook up with Shane's her best chance, right? Because Shane wouldn't be bothered about going to the
people she hasn't met are her best chance, which is
and if she can hook up and Shane like reveals his arsenal, and then she's got the knowledge of how to like use that to like save herself as she rolls.
He's not gonna tell her what he's got.
You can make this move, Shane, then make this move, then this move, and Shane's like making all these moves, and the two of them at the end. What an outcome!
Yeah.
But I think for Christy, one of the best things she has going for her is she can convince anyone that, yes, you are my number one ally. And so I think he's going to have all these options and no one is going to doubt her. They're all going to think, yeah, Christy's with us.
Well, she's a kingmaker. Her and Shane, I see them as, because I think Joseph is going to go back to Ethan and Maddie, and then we'll see who comes back from Extinction. And then
who was the one that voted for Leah? Was it Joseph or was it Shane? It was Shane, wasn't it? Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, Shane.
Shane's all in with blue now. He's done with red.
Joseph has nowhere to turn to except Maddie and Ethan. So if those three can get Christy, get the person who's back from his extinction, they can target someone like a Luke. And Luke could be the merge food. It depends. It all depends if they can get Christy on board and who comes back. Like that's the thing, because we don't know who comes back. It's like anyone could. Yeah.
Luke as is a fantastic merge boot if Christie's running the show. It's because while she wasn't that close with him like she was with Sam, Danny, and Michelle, so it's not really losing like a close ally. He's a huge threat for challenges. He's quite likable. He's been trying to make inroads with Shane and Joseph, but they sort of seem as a bit wishy-washy about it. He would be, and his big target, it weakens the three blues without weakening her connections. If she's the one ruling the show, I could see her wanting to make that move.
Yeah. And yeah, that's
There's
right.
a big twist on the horizon for Merge, just FYI. She will love twists.
I know this season is just twist, which it's been okay. Like LRGs, you can't get too comfy. Well, before we talk to Leah, I'm guessing are we interviewing her today?
Yeah.
You guys had any thoughts about Leah's game? Like, before she comes on board, we can back her now. No.
She should be here with us soon.
I actually didn't. I thought Leah didn't do a whole lot of wrong. To be honest, I think she was really unlucky with the swap. I think she was just, like maybe a bit too honest of like she would go back to the red. Maybe she's looking for an advantage, but I think she's just young. But I actually didn't think she made that big a mistake.
I think
she got swap screwed.
Joseph did a better job of ingratiating himself socially with the majority in that tribe. Shane had an advantage, was known to have an advantage, was seen finding advantages, played an advantage, and now they don't necessarily think that Shane's got a bunch of other advantages, but now they've got the situation where everyone that he was with just tried to vote him out of the game, and so why would you vote out that guy? Like he says he's with them, and you believe that because why else wouldn't he be? Everyone over there.
Says she's just too much of a have a chat.
Oh, I love. I would have kept Leah till the end. I love someone who wants to talk and. I know Danny, and Danny, I've seen her play 2 games now. One is a secret, one is the Sydney. I think Danny needs.
Everyone knows she's in Melbourne for.
Well, yes, but I don't want to.
How she performs is a secret.
I think if I had one advice to give to Danny, I think she's such a good player, and I think people clock her quickly. I think her one flaw is that she needs to be a bit warmer to the people who have no power, because I feel we've seen Danny twice now be the minority's target. We've seen her receive votes in the first tribal and then again this, both Joseph and Leah voted. So I'm wondering, like, what is she doing different than Michelle? Because they're playing very similar games. With Michelle, I think when she talks to the minority, she's not as blunt. She's more, giving them a little bit of the hope that Sam's also giving them, like, we work together. And I'm not sure. I think Danny needs to be less transparent with where her mind actually is.
Well, and Leah said that.
She says you're spot on. And to be honest, that's the vibe that I've gotten as well.
It's just because I think she's got everything. Danny is like a winner pick in any season, so it's just like a 1%. Yeah.
And Leah said she was targeting her because she was too rigid and was refusing to budge on Christy, but Leah was willing to budge on Merlene and Jazz, but didn't feel that same thing from Danny. So, and she also mentioned that she seems a bit standoffish.
I did write that, which, whoa, I thought that was a bit...
Something that Danny and I do share in common is we both have a bad case of resting bitch face, and maybe that's something that came into play here.
That's right. I think Leah and Danny just were like opposite spectrums of the personality, chart.
Well, Christy's coming to Danny's defense, but that's because she liked you, Christy. Basically, if Danny likes you, you get this wonderful, warm, and lovely approach. If she's not really into you, it's like
I feel like if Danny's gonna vote you out, very clearly.
Yeah. Whereas, like, she loved Christy, so Christy's like, "I love you." It's like,
Okay,
Danny's mad.
Oh, she's getting angry. She's getting angry.
Yeah. So that's true. I mean, Last Void was really good at like testing those like new tribe alliances, because Leah said, "Oh, they didn't want to vote Christy out," and then Danny, is saying like, "Well, Leah didn't want to vote Merlene out," so there's never a chance for them to become one new tribe. I think, except Shane now. Shane's the one who was like, "I'll do whatever." Yeah, guys, like, let's go.
Shane's in a great position because either his best mate JT comes back, or someone from the edge comes back, and everyone's perception from the edge is he's on the bottom, and so he's the guy that you need to work with. And he's got his advantages.
We're manifesting JT. Amanda would be a good player to come back as well. I think she barely got any chance to play. I think she would also be.
I think any of them would be good to come
Any
back.
of them, yeah, I know.
It's a very good cast.
Yes.
Yeah, I just feel like it's not Amanda. Just from the edit, from her interview, I just feel like we've seen the last of her.
Yeah.
But we have herself. Leah is with us. Leah is ready to join. Let's bring her in so we can get all her opinions about the game if we're talking. Welcome, Leah.
Hi.
Hi, Leah.
How are we?
How are you?
We're excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
You were very excited. You were your response to my message about are you free on Thursday was the most like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this message. This is the moment. You were very excited. Is that because you wanted to come here and meet us, or because you got tea to spill on all these people that voted you out of the game?
I think a bit of both. I think I'm absolutely obsessed, but also I just, as you know, I'm a bit of a have a chat. So any invitation for me to come and chat, I'm taking it.
I love it. First of all, Leah, I have to say my father-in-law is a massive West Tigers fan. So seeing you where I didn't know what rugby league was until like a year ago, but yeah. So now I know the West Tigers are definitely at the top of the ladder every season. And I know everything about rugby. So I was really excited to recognize the team that you were wearing. So on behalf of John Otter, well done, Lauren. Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a rugby shirt.
I would have, if it wasn't for Nick being from Sydney, I would have no idea.
Wrong code.
So
lots
lots
of positive comments for all of you in the chat.
You have the most iconic look, Leah. Your West Tigers jacket and your 2 little braids and your bandana where nobody could see what you were actually saying.
COVID safe bandana.
Over ninja, very cool.
Thank you. I have to say, obviously I know what happens, and I was a bit for my episode, but it was really nice. Like I felt a lot of positive emotions after the episode, so it was really nice. Like I was so worried that when people were like going to vote me out, that they would be a bit negative, but it seemed really nice. Like Michelle, Danny, and Luke, from what we saw, they all said something really sweet. So it was really nice to know that I wasn't being voted out. Like,
well, I don't think absolutely. I don't think anyone perceived you that way. But let's talk about your vote. Goes back a few episodes. When you got to the swap, how much danger did you think you were in being in a minority with Joseph and Shane?
Yeah, so straight off the bat, I wasn't super worried. And then I kind of led my own detriment by kind of saying, hey, tribe, let's go on an idol hunt, in which Shane ends up finding his second idol. And so as soon as he finds that idol, I'm just like, yep, that's me done. So, I was really keen to like bring the tribe together and go on this idol hunt, hoping that myself or Joseph would find it. But of course, Shane had to find something.
Did you believe it was a second idol, whereas Danny thought it was actually the thing that he had an advantage for earlier and he just fake found it? Did you believe that he found something for real on that occasion?
Yeah, I thought he found it. But I'm a very transparent person. Like, I know the game's about lying, but in general, I'm just a very say it like it is person. So if he's telling me he found it, 100% believe he found it.
And how connected were the two of you? You saved him from the edit, it seemed, on the Amanda boot. Were you guys quite close?
Yeah, I was definitely trying to have something with Shane because he was very clearly on the outs. Amanda was the only person that did approach him at the start. And then for me, we all obviously have different motivations of why we're there on the day. For me, that first vote, I was not voting out Ethan or Shane, who had advantages that hadn't been claimed yet. We're there for a small one-day game. How boring to vote out someone with an advantage that hasn't even gone and caused that chaos. As you've all said, I'm pretty chaotic. So for me, I'm keeping those people that have known advantages. I want to see this shit blow up.
Mm-hmm. Which is, we hope that you come back because we need some of that at the merge. We don't want to, boring post merge. I wanted to ask, the edit made it look like Luke was maybe the closest person on that blue majority that you had. Was that right, or were you talking to other people as well?
Yeah, we approached Sam and Luke both, but we did feel a bit more confident that if anyone was going to swing, it would be Luke. And I mean, it was really nice to see then when he is voting me out, he says something, like, oh, I don't really feel good about this. So it's kind of nice to see that, like, even though he was keen to work with Blue, there may have been something down the track if it lined up that I would have been cool with Luke. So.
And what about Danny and Michelle? Were they just giving you nothing? Like it was just a waste of time to even try?
Yeah, I think once Shane had found that idol and I knew it was going to be me, I knew there wasn't really anything. I don't think it was shown on the edit so much, but I definitely on the day was saying, if you guys want to, I would have flipped on Joseph had that been approached, but no one sort of came to me with that. So, I was kind of keen to just like have my name thrown out if it would protect me another day, which, not everyone thinks is the smartest move, but at that point I really couldn't do anything besides say like, hey, I'm willing.
Yeah, but I mean, you say you were comfortable with people throwing your name, but then we saw with Amanda, you kind of like backpedaled as quick as you could, and you got it on Amanda.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it was mentioned that in a lot of people's eyes, that was the best move so far. Do you think making such a big move on the first round really put a target on your back moving forward?
To be honest, not really. I think if anything, it actually helped it was sort of nice, as some of the others who've come on have said, that was such a scramble on the day. Like trying to split between 3 people, it's never going to work. I think people were just relieved when I sort of came along and said, look, why don't we just go with the person that's kind of told us all different things and make it easy. So
Yeah.
like, and it was very last minute as well for me. You know, at the time I didn't really care that my name was being thrown out until I'm starting to walk into tribal, and I'm thinking, well, shit, it could actually be me now. So, you know, I've said to Shane, like, I know nobody's spoken to you but Amanda, and I know that you're voting me. How about we vote Amanda? And then I grabbed Joseph and Merlene on the walk in, and I'm like, let's do Amanda. And then, you know, going to tribal, I'm really still in Shane's ear. Like, we're going to do Amanda. We're going to get the people down the line involved. And thankfully, the messengers did their job.
Yeah.
I would have loved it to be unanimous. I was trying to like lip talk to Ethan at that tribal council,
Yes.
but you know,
he was
it
one.
didn't
He had Amanda in between him and the rest of the tribe, so the message couldn't get right to him.
And I did pull him aside straight after that vote, and I was kind of like, "You are fucking welcome." You know, like,
Yes,
I'm with you, buddy. And I was trying to tell you that you were going to be in on this, but
So if, let's say, it's interesting to think, like, say the swap never happened and the Reds would have gone to another tribal, take into account that Shane has an idol, who do you think would have been gone from that tribe?
I
Based
think
on what you knew.
I think that we would have voted Shane at the second tribal, at least me and who I was with, not knowing he has really an idol. We have a suspicion.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know, like, at that point, I wasn't thinking of voting anyone out besides Shane. You know, like, he was always my next. Yeah.
So you don't think you would have utilized sort of saving him in a way on that first vote, considering people were talking about his name, or at least, you know, the two of you hatching the plan together in a way, like it was your plan, but you were the first two to sort of started it rolling to build a further bond? Or do you think he was just so disconnected from everyone else that it would have been impossible to drive a vote a different way?
Yeah, 100%. I think that doing that one time was to sort of get him aligned with me. And I mean, in the game, you want everybody to see you as an ally, but you know, you don't really care who you cut off. So yeah, it was like I had a better alliances at that point than trying to go with Shane, you know.
Yeah. Obviously now you're like trying to, you know, you have a chance to get back into the game, but before you were voted out, who were you hoping to see come back into the game?
Merlene.
Really?
100%. I remember when we're talking about doing that 4-3, I'm so like, I will not vote for Merlene. And I think this is
Jazz,
where
or did you vote for Merlene?
Yeah, so the 3 Reds were supposed to vote Jazz, and the 4 Merlene, because I was very firm on I will not vote Merlene. I said I will vote Jazz, and at this point Joseph had given it away to the Blues for free that Ethan had that safety without power advantage. Like, he just sort of said, Ethan's got this thing and he might play it for Matt. So then Matt was never in the picture after that. So it was always Merlene and Jazz. But yeah, I 100% will own it. I refused to vote Merlene. I said, I'll vote Jazz or Matt if he doesn't get saved. But,
she's all caps tonight. She's fired up.
Yes, vote Merlene every day, and then you don't have to do it.
You're fired up about that, then you come in for it.
You could have stuffed the vote split by agreeing to do Merlene. Yeah. And then also they gave the 3 of you the ability to sort of control the second person that went home. Why didn't you guys
go for Christy, who was someone you guys didn't know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what we were.
One of them. One of the Blues.
One
of the Blues. And then
everyone said that, but no one on that tribe was really keen to get Christy yet. And I think at that point on the day, you're so stressed. For me, I wanted the Blues to trust me. So by me talking to the Reds at tribal, I didn't want to really get involved in that in case, like, say we did vote out a Blue.
Yes.
I come back and we're in a 3-3.
One of those Blues.
Yeah, say I'd voted one of our Blues, and then we came back with a 3-3.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot of tension there where the remaining 3 probably would be like, oh, absolutely not. Like,
yeah. I think, I mean, now, like, with everything you know now, it's easy to be like, oh, maybe with the extra vote. Like, it's really hard. Watching the last episode with the 2 tribals, I also kind of lost. I gave up trying to figure out what the good strategy would be. I would have just, like I said, just vibed it and like just trust that your social game's good enough to keep the target off you. Yeah.
I think the problem with the double tribal is it actually was quite a good twist. But in one day LRG, there's just not the time to think through the different potential options of the ways you could play it. And there are so many ways you could play it. And everyone probably just starts thinking about that a little bit. And please do if I'm wrong, and then immediately goes, actually, no, fuck that. I just want to be safe. This is crazy. I'm just going to do something safe here and make it through to the next bit and worry about the next bit.
Yeah, which is why, honestly, it's so impressive, like, to give credit to those blues in your tribe, Leah, that they were able to, like, think ahead. Maybe that's when your back is not against the wall, maybe it's easier to look at things differently, take a step back. So I don't blame you for just being on survival mode and being like, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they were really smart to know, like, that 4-3 split, you know, it made us look like a strong, and it helped them getting 2 reds. I mean, my ideal twist, if that was to happen again, where it's a 2 people go home, I think it would have been better if everybody had to vote for someone on the opposite tribe. Like, if all of us 7 had to vote someone of their 5, and then they voted us, I think that would have made it a bit more fair, because then the Reds would have had to vote, you know, and then we could only vote 1. But
I mean, it was
nothing's
the
fair.
Reds, you know, like Matt and Ethan also were targeting Shane, who is original Red. So yeah, I think
you probably didn't expect that. You probably expected them to write down a blue, so it didn't really matter what you did. One of the blues goes, but you guys were loyal, so like it helps you moving forward. That's probably part of the thinking, right? It's absurd that they all voted for Shane.
Yeah, looking back and watching that, obviously I wasn't on that tribe to know what's happened, but watching it, I'm thinking, like, you guys, the whole episode is saying you're voting blue, and then you go in and you vote Shane, and to me that really highlighted how good Christy was. She never once outed a blue. She just kind of said, oh, you know, and then they all vote Shane, and they're all thinking, you know, he might have something, but we're all going to vote Shane. Very strange. At that tribal council though, you know, Merlene did ask me, like, is it me? And I said, you know, yes, without being too obvious. I was like, yeah, like, the 4 of them are coming for you. And then so there was nothing she could do, but I wanted her to know that, you know, if she was coming back, that we were still good.
Yeah, that's smart, because I think people were forgetting that someone was going to come back. So that's really smart that you were thinking that.
Yeah, and then also...
Merlene doomed herself though, didn't she? She was on the podcast last week and she told everyone she runs ultra marathons, and that's all anyone remembered about her.
Looking at her, you look at her and you know she's fit. She looks
and then I do ultra marathons. Like, okay, noted. Let's get her out as soon as we can. Like,
probably herself a bit. Ultra.
Yeah, just marathons is fine. Like, I know she's you know, from Ethan's point of view, a geriatric woman, but she's not old at all. That's just what Ethan would think. But, you know, she does have that fear of being older than some of the other cast. She wants to be seen as someone who's going to be a tribe asset, not a tribe liability. There's survivor history about all of that. So I get why she wants to show them I'm a fit person. But yeah, just drop the ultra. You don't need the ultra.
But on the other hand, Leah, you were one of the youngest people there. Did you think that came into play? Like, were you struggling to connect with maybe like the people who were parents, or was that an issue at all?
Well, for me, I was the youngest by 31 days, Ethan. And so, you know, I did worry about that, but I do like to think I'm pretty good socially, that I can really work with anyone. So I don't think it really like factored in. You know, Michelle's a teacher, and so I'm asking her things about that. And yeah, I think I did try to play like young and dumb, particularly in that first egg hunt challenge. I gave away every single egg I had. I rocked up at the end with a baseball in my bucket. I was like, oh my God, it was a baseball. And, you know, Ethan's sort of looking at me, like he's next to me and he's sort of looking at me like, is she serious? Like a baseball, you know? But yeah, that was sort of the goal, to sort of be young and dumb.
I did want to ask you about that. Like, why did you give away all your eggs?
Well, we didn't know our tribes at that point, and I figured making those social connections at the start is more important. Like, don't know where I'm at yet, so if I gave to 3 people, I was like, that's at least pretty much I'm guaranteed to get with one of them. And if I lost. I knew I would maybe be the target, but I did feel like if I lost anyway, I'd probably survive.
I love this strategy. I love this strategy of playing into what people's perceptions will be. Like, talking to you right now, it's actually amazing the different part of your personality you decided to put on show. You were big, you were loud. That's what people noticed about you. You went to look young and ditzy. You say that was the impression you were giving. So much so that, as I said earlier, even though you made the move of the game, people didn't see you as necessarily as a strategic threat, though you clearly are one. Right now, the way you're talking is so calm, collected, intelligent. To play into a different aspect of yourself, and one that will see you as less threatening, is the ideal thing you can do on a Survivor game, particularly if you, say, make a final tribal council and start speaking like this and everyone's like blown away. And to be able to do that in the pressure cooker is very, very impressive. It's something that like Chloe did a little bit in Melbourne, like, to the extent that when she, I was having that argument with her about who she voted for, and I just thought she just cooked the vote. Like I didn't think she'd done anything like strategically to mess with me. I think she doesn't know what the vote is. And if you can get people thinking about you that way, but then make the end and pull out a more coherent argument of what you did, people will be blown away. And I think if you do come back in, that's apparently what you're going to do, because I am blown away right now by this this conversation and the intelligence.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, if I come back or not, I just hope to win fan favorite awards. So,
you will. You were my favorite episode 1. I love Ethan as well, but I think you edged him just a little. Just giving away the eggs did it for me. Also, obviously, we don't know.
My heart belongs to another.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm all in for Shifty Shane.
I want to ask, like, obviously, we don't know if you come back into the game, which like maybe this question will be different, but if you were to play again, what's like one thing that you learned about yourself, maybe that you would implement if you had to play Survivor again?
I think for me, I really was trying to play a more social game, so I pretty much sat out on like every challenge that I could to really utilize like making those connections. And I'm actually a very competitive person, so I would 100% like get up in the nitty-gritty next time just to like show that I'm serious. I think that that was probably one of my downfalls. I think had I been at that last one where I do go home and the 3 reds went up and really fought to keep in it, I think that probably would have changed the outcome, because I would have wanted to do that ring toss. I kind of was sitting back thinking, I could do the ring toss, like I'm good at that, I'm great at arcade games and stuff. So but I thought, it's maybe best if I sit out, knowing Danny and Michelle were sitting out trying to hop into the area. And
it's tricky. I mean, lucky for you, we saw that it seems like it's like another arcade game to get into the game. So maybe if you're great at them, maybe we hope that you get back in.
Well, our edge it call, because as we said, we've interviewed everyone that's come out, and none of them gave me the impression they were coming back in. Maybe you give me a slight impression, but let's not dig into that too much. I still hope for a JT Saltathlon if he was able to come back. But you coming back would also be equally, I think, a really positive, as long as it's not a revolving door. It would be really sad if you come back and it's a revolving door situation. That'd be a boring episode, and I would hope that's not what we get. I guess generally, you've obviously been having, I don't need to ask you, you've been having an amazing time with having played this, with posting in the chat, with being in the chat. Obviously, you had, like, this is Max's question. Did you have a good time? Did you have a good experience?
I did have a good experience. I think the worst part was I forgot how cold the Blue Mountains was going to be, and that it had been raining. And so in the first, I think, half an hour after that egg hunt, I'm wearing 1 layer of socks and my socks are drenched. So from the entirety of that day, I have numb feet.
Oof, brutal.
So that was the thing I really didn't care about. Was numb, cold toes. But yeah, I had fun otherwise.
Were you worried about frostbite? You're like, I'm going to lose a toe.
I did start getting worried a couple hours in after the fact they still had numb toes and they were sore. I was thinking, like, if I don't get out soon and can change my socks.
Yeah,
I can't lose a toe for a 1-day Ella.
Like, well, and also
winter again.
Also, so in saying that, how I forgot how cold it was, as I've said before, I was the last person to arrive, and I was actually only staying like 3 minutes down the road. And what had happened was I got up like half an hour before the ETA, and then I forgot it's Katoomba, so I had frost all over my windshield, and like obviously my engine's cold, so straight away I'm like, oh shit, now I got to get some cold water and defrost the windshield and let my engine cool up. So then I sat in my car park for 20 minutes, like trying to make sure I wouldn't off my car because it's old, and then I'm last at the
meet and greet. They didn't seem to hurt your game too badly though. Like I know that hurt a few people's games that have talked about it that we've interviewed, but it didn't seem you seem to have a pretty good social connection with a lot of people despite missing the initial meet and greet.
I think I would have got into Danny and Chrissy were really tight at that meet and greet, and I think had I got there a bit earlier, that's something I would have tried to get in on. And that may have helped. Maybe they would have gone for Joseph.
You never know. Honestly, sometimes it's like a coin toss. What's the difference?
Yeah. Actually, can I just say, watching that episode back, I was completely blindsided by Shane. I only just found out on Sunday that he voted for me. Like, I left that part of the game thinking it was a 4-3. And
even though they didn't read out all the votes? Because normally if they don't read out all the votes, that means the rest were just...
I just was thinking that, well, obviously 4's the majority in this situation, regardless. So, maybe...
Yeah. Well, Shane betrayed you. We hate Shane now.
And I asked him at some point as well. I think we had a conversation at one point in the game. I don't know if it was before my vote or the double, but I do remember telling him, like, he was sort of saying, I do have that idol. Who should I play it for if we go in? Like, who do you think they'll target? And I said, it'll be me 100%. Like, if you're going to play it for one of the three of us, it's got to be me. And he was like, oh, no, I don't really think it'll be you. So I'm wondering if that point, did he know then that they were actually voting me? Like, how did he get clued in that it was me? I have no idea. So when he's sort of saying...
I would assume that Danny or Michelle told him that's who they're voting. And are you really with us? You say you're with us. The Reds are voting for you. Get on the blue train. Show us your vote for Leah to prove it. You want to be with us in merge or not? Like that. I imagine that's the message that was given, but that's the message I would have given him. But I sort of play like.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to see if he made the right choice. I mean, I'm just relieved that he made a choice, and it was not like sitting in the fence. I think for Shane, he needs to start making like really like strong decisions and really like choose a side, because otherwise he's just gonna make it to the end or close to the end. And
well, what's crazy about Shane is he's always on his own wavelength. Like when after that his rogue vote on Christy at the joint tribal, I went up to him and I said, why didn't you tell me you were voting Christy? You knew I was gunning for her all the time. You could have just told me or Joseph and she would have been gone. And he's just like,
I think that's really
would she have been gone? What actually happens there? Because then you've got a 3-3 on Christy and Jazz.
Because Jazz only had 2 votes, and they were from Leah and
Joseph. Had Shane told Joseph and I he was voting Christy, that would have turned the game around.
You guys had the power, but we want, bygones. We got bygones.
Why didn't we get this scene of you blowing up at Shifty Shane about his shifty vote?
You could have voted Michelle or Danny at that point, had you chosen to. But I mean, we get it. You're not playing like for that round. You're thinking long term.
No, but I get it. She's annoyed that Shane, in his own head, decided he was voting Christy and didn't tell them when, as Leah said, she wanted to vote for Christy.
Like, and I had been vocal about getting Christy all day. I was just like, oh, there's a winner here. Like, let's see you later. Yeah. Like it may have been done, but I didn't get why Shane voted Christy, but then didn't tell me when I had vocally said to all the Blues, I said, well, it's so weird that Christy keeps coming back tribal after tribal. Like, are they stupid? So it was like, I was clear I'd vocalize that, and I don't even know clearly if Shane knows. Like,
Chrissy has a comment.
Yeah, poor Chrissy. You won $500,000, Chrissy. That's what you did.
Yeah, I love you now, Christy, but back then.
But also, I do think that's the beauty of Survivor. I think it keeps being repeated that you need to adapt. You also need to adapt to players like Shane.
I'm the only one with the big
yeah. You have to adapt to players like Shane who are maybe not the most, they don't play with the common sense that maybe for you is very like obvious. I would have voted with you, but someone like Shane, like you say, you need to adapt to players like that or like Elise, who's maybe not that familiar with the game. So we can't just, cast a bunch of Leahs who are like very rational and like know the game. Like you need people who, and I do think Shane maybe had his reasons to like, jump ship and, go some way. Yeah.
Shane's really great, actually, because you do absolutely need people on this that aren't Survivor super fans to make it interesting. But often those people don't provide a lot of good TV because they're just in the pressure cooker. You've got like minutes to sort stuff out. They just don't have the knowledge about what to do to make it good TV or make it a good, fun game. They're trying to learn as they go, and there isn't the time for that. In real Survivor, you still see these people who don't know about Survivor and then provide no value. But you also see ones that do know, that can learn as they go and become a more interesting character as the season rolls on. You don't have that opportunity. So I think Shane's actually providing a lot of great content for a non-Survivor fan.
It's just sad that you were it's just sad that you were the collateral damage to Shane's, messy gameplay. But yeah, that's what you say. Survivor's a little luck. You got unlucky that you got paired with someone like Shane. And that's it. Whoever wins this game, like, it'll be impressive, but it's also a lot of luck. So yeah.
So I see now. You played this. I'm not aware of you playing another LRG, but potentially do. But now you're signing up for orgs. Were you an org person before this, or you just decided to venture into orgs? I saw you were announced today on the next season of Brenviver, and we're calling it that, Pratty. Deal with it.
Yeah, so a couple years ago, I did play an online org with Luke and John Tan. We all played on the same season, and they were run by Eli a very long time ago. And I met pre-merge in my first time, and then the second time I went to Final Tribal Council. But then me and the girl I went with, we lost unanimously to this man Ethan. And then no, not our Ethan, another Ethan. And then I was like, no, I'm done orgs. They're so time consuming. And Brendan messaged me maybe 2 days ago and was like, do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just give it one more crack. So.
It looked to be a very time-consuming org from the people that played season 1, I have to say, of which, everyone that knows Nat was the winner, and good on for Nat for winning that. So you got big shoes to fill this one. Big cast announced. You're playing with Mars Malcolm from Canberra, and Caitlin from Playing with Fire. They're the ones that I know that have been announced. So, there's a lot of LRG community coming together in this next season, which will be very interesting because it is, for those that don't know, a video org. It's live. It's done on Facebook. People are talking to each other video. They're real IDs. So it is quite close to a real Survivor compared to a text-based closed ID, for example. So for those that want to check out...
Brendan's also just dropped a spoiler. I'm playing in that org too.
Hey, okay.
I am. I just haven't been.
And Jules. All right. So for those that want
no pre-gaming.
Yes, exciting. For those that want to check out Brenviver, that's what it's called. There's a viewers lounge. If you're not playing, I'm sure it'll be very exciting. You can see more of Lee. You can see more of Jules. You can see Malcolm. You can see Caitlin. People that have been on the LRGs that we've been covering the last couple of months. So I think that's pretty exciting for the whole community to see these faces pop up again. I'm excited to watch you play in that. I followed the first one, and I followed Scott from Playing with Fire. And Nat, who I knew in it, watched them play. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for these people.
Well, I would like to just put it out there. While I haven't applied for any LRGs, I'd kind of just let the record show. If you need any last minute pullouts, you need a player, of course my services can be.
Oh, your phone's going to be running hot. There's always... You're a top tier woman candidate. Anyone's going to want you.
Well, for me, it was I did want to apply for, Canberra and Brisbane. But I was sort of you know what? I played one now. Kind of let anyone who wants to give it a go. And then if it's desperate,
sure. Ma doesn't share that view.
Ma doesn't believe that.
Go again and go for the kill.
Yeah, but for me, it was if I come back, I'm winning, or I'm this is it. Then I won, and
I mean, Ma, you were the last pre-merge vote as well, so
I know, but I play again and win. I mean, knowing the competition I had in that pre-merge, I wish we had a challenge to come back. I think I would have had a pretty good choice. Maybe Scott maybe would have been maybe.
I don't know. Rosie was pretty.
Rosie, I mean, it depends what it would have been. If it would have been a Spanish speaking competition, maybe I could have come back.
Yeah,
I hope you come back. I think you and DC are I think will be the most spicy people to come back in the game. So I hope one of you pulls it. I mean, anyone, like say Marlene would also, like anyone would be interesting. JT, obviously, like CK wants.
I think it'd just be Salt Athlon. It'd be amazing. And then I think he would get voted out right away. But we'll see what happens with it. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Leah. You've been so good on this season. You go for player of the season, most popular, whatever. I could see that happening, absolutely. You were such a big star. And you really, whether you come back or not, you've been a huge character in the pre-merge. And you've been a huge supporter of our podcast, appearing on. I remember the first episode where you kept repeatedly posting when the next episode was going to be
Ask
on.
me when episode 7 is.
When is episode 7, Leah?
You can watch episode 7 of Sydney Survivor at 7:30 on Sunday.
There you go. Everyone be there. And then we will be back next Thursday to continue talking about it, to talk about who got out, all the activity. And maybe, who knows, maybe Lee will be back like 2 weeks in a row if it's a revolving door. But thank you everyone again for being in the comments, for being here, engaging with us on the show, for engaging with Australian LRGs. Thank you so much for coming, Leah, and giving us your insight. It was fantastic. Thank you, Ma, for coming on. It's always good to have the winners here to give us their winning insight. It gives us a credibility that we lack with just me. And then thank you so much, Jules, as always, for coming on and providing your insight, doing double duty on the podcast still with Playing with Fire and Sydney. We'll be back next
Thursday. One more Playing with Fire podcast left.
One more deep dive with John. You'll need about 5 hours, I expect. And then we'll be back next Thursday. And everyone checking the episode, can't wait to see you there. And, support Praddy's LRG. Obviously, it's got a bunch of big star ORG, so he's all got a bunch of stars in it. Go check it out. It's something you can.
Yeah, let's go. And
you can just follow
I've never
on your
orged
Facebook.
before, so people feel free to give me advice on how to do this thing.
And it's a really
no pre-gaming, Jules.
I hope you don't have a life, Jules, because you won't have time for your life.
And for someone who watched the last one, it's really easy. You just join the group on Facebook, and then you'll get posts in your feed and whatever. So you don't have to dedicate yourself to watching how it plays out, or just sort of come out as you go without putting in a lot of extra work or joining another forum or anything like that. So it's really easy to view. And if you're interested in viewing all these people, hit up Praddy, and I'm sure he'll give you the link and get you in the group.
I think he put the link in the comments.
I think he did. He's excited. He's excited for Brent Viver season 2. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for the love.